Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic. I want to welcome you back to my channel, Opinion Stated, and I have a phenomenal episode planned for you all today. If you've already seen the thumbnail, you know exactly what direction we're headed into. Michael Jordan weighed in on max contracts and what his thoughts and beliefs are around them. And you're going to want to hear this. I'm going to cite an article that I stumbled across from. This article actually was from basketballnetwork.net that I stumbled across a few days ago. So I'm going to dig into that article in this episode. But before I do that, do me a huge favor. Like this video if you haven't done so already. Liking the video helps us cruise along Algorithm Avenue and get into the presence of individuals just like yourself who are looking for this kind of content on YouTube. Man, also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already as well. And join the community. You know what I mean? Let's grow together in this space of sharing insights, basketball opinion, etc. I'd love to hear your comments and your opinions as well throughout. But without further ado, this episode is going to be entitled Michael Jordan Max Contracts Killing the NBA. So I'm going to dive right into this article, like I said, and then I'll offer opinion, commentary, etc. Beyond. But again, let's get right into it. This article from Basketball Network is entitled, "In Our Sport, You Get Paid Off of Potential." Quote from Michael Jordan on why he doesn't like NBA giving max deals to unproven stars. Whew. MJ always thought young players signing big contracts sets a bad work ethic. This article was written by Damian Peters, December 10th of this year, so just a few days ago, published on basketballnetwork.net. And let's dive right in. Big contracts, flashy cars, and nice watches. That's the reality that is laid out on the table for young stars in the NBA. Gone are the days when players had to earn inflated contracts that guaranteed generational wealth. Now, purely the potential of superstar upside is enough to land a deal in the hundreds of millions. Players like Ben Simmons, Jordan Poole, Zach LaVine, and Andrew Wiggins were fortunate to ink long-term lucrative deals at a young age before nearing their apex, only to fall short of what the world thought they would become. According to Michael Jordan, this happens far too often in today's league, and the world should have listened when he predicted this phenomenon many years ago. For someone as intelligent as Jordan, who in more ways than one is a basketball visionary, it was clear what path the NBA was headed down. When making an appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show, Jordan spoke about the negative future of NBA contracts. The difference is, in our sport, you get paid off of potential. A rock star, you have to be good. Most young kids that come in now, we don't know how good they're going to be yet. They got 5-year guarantees, millions of dollars, admiration of many, endorsement deals, etc., he said. When corporate America came to us, we had a game that could validate their admiration and sponsorships. I'll repeat. When corporate America came to us, we had a game that they could validate with, or that could validate their admiration and sponsorships. Now, they get that before they play one game. In essence, you're paying a kid off of a potential that he may be great. It sets a bad work ethic. When you get something so easily, you're not going to work as hard, he added. Man, I know every single parent that statement right there resonates with. I know every single person who's ever had a parent, meaning all of you who can hear my voice, that resonates with. Your parents give you too much, too fast, too soon. You don't earn it. You don't understand the value of it. Anybody, that applies almost to every area of life, even present day. Whether you're an adult or a child, whether you're young in some industry or you're seasoned in an industry, whether you're seasoned in life or whether you're young in life, it happens across the spectrum, or it applies across the spectrum. You give it too soon, ladies, give it up too soon, we don't really value you. Hold on to it for a little while. He's like, okay, See a little something there. It's reality. It's literally reality. Now, is there always an exception to the rule? Sure, there is. Have some players been given contracts prematurely and they lived up to it? Absolutely. But more often than not, when you just give a person who's just like, man, I'm just hoping to have all of my financial issues wiped out. I can take care of my family. We could do all these things. Woo! Got the money, got the contract. All of a sudden, their play dissipates. And we're like, whatever happened to this kid? What happened to that hungry guy who was playing to prove that he was a max caliber player? All of a sudden, who barely even wants to play. Ben Simmons. I mean, it looks like he's got a lot of money. I mean, certainly he's got a lot of money. We know because it's been reported, which I've always thought was like kind of disrespectful and unsafe. It's like dangerous to be announcing like how much money these kids have. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of disrespectful and kind of weird. But man, he looks like money sitting on the sideline, iced out. You know what I mean? Like man, swagged out, geared up, suited. Kid looking good. You know what I'm saying? Not suited up for the team. Like, what do you mean you don't want to play? Making all this money. Back to the article. Money, money, money. Money, 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 money. Money. Going off MJ's comments, and when landscaping the league, you can make a genuine case that there's too much money in the association nowadays. I want to be careful, yo. Because I never want to say that like, oh, there's too much money. These kids are making too much money. Like man, the money's being doled out, and a lot of work has been done over the years. You know, through the NBA Players Association, from when Isaiah was president. You know, of the NBA Players Association back in the '80s, and they kind of passed the torch to the players that were coming up, just kind of taking over to make sure that these negotiations with these owners who are deep pockets, they're making a huge amount of money off of revenue from ticket sales, from the TV that players weren't getting. It's like, bro, I got to share. Got a profit share. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we're the product. And so I can understand the contracts, you know what I mean? Like going up. That's how it works. Cost of living goes up, like pay salary should go up. You still have to, kind of moderate it some. Otherwise, it just gets overblown, and you know what I mean? Like it gets ridiculous, which could be the case today, right? If it starts to affect the motivation of the players or the motivation of the workers. It's like, I'm paying you, I don't know what you do for a living. I'm paying you $70K and I'm cutting your paychecks as the owner of this company. I'm expecting $70K worth of output annually. And if I don't get that, you just be like, well, I deserve $70K. I could look at all these credentials I have. Look how long I've been doing this. It's like, I don't need to look back on what you did. I need you to do. You understand? I'm not paying you because of what you did solely. I appreciate the experience, but bro, I need you to produce present day. Back to the article. With the TV deal, sponsorship, and even NIL at the college level, the amount of money young players are being exposed to currently is hard to navigate. Coupled with the lack of financial literacy that continues to plague the NBA, there's an ongoing recipe for disaster as potential stars continue to fall short of their upside, care less about repaying the faith ownership put in them, and quietly collect millions in the process. It's the ungoodliest thing. Of course, there are nuances in everything. And while cases like Simmons's, speaking of Ben Simmons, are continuing to become more frequent, no one can objectively blame players for signing expansive deals due to the era they play in. At the end of the day, history has shown us that it is unwise to leave money on the table as an athlete. But with all realities, there are consequences too. For Jordan, the other side of the coin outweighs the positives. When dissecting this from a financially technical standpoint, there's no escaping that this will continue to happen as TV deals and the salary cap continue to rise with each passing season, and the league revenue tracks the growth of the wider U.S. economy. Economic influences aside, the NBA league office has attempted to stem this tide with various rules embedded into the NBA's collective bargaining agreement, or CBA. The new CBA, which has been effective since the 1st of July, has turned the NBA offseason and roster construction on its head, as franchises and ownership are harshly penalized for breaching its cap rules. Dole out more money. It's like, man, you guys need to be careful. You know what I mean? Like, be careful about kind of what's being spent like relative to this new cap money, because what we want to do is we want to prevent, in some ways, teams from still being like, well, we're a very wealthy franchise. So, I mean, I know we're supposed to be paying these players this, but we want to give this player this. And so since we can afford to do it, we're a more attractive team. You know what I mean? Like we got happier players maybe, or we're a more attractive team for other players who want to come and play with us because we're able to kind of kick a little extra more than the other teams that would tank the other teams in the league. Nobody want to play for them. I want to go over here and play for this team that's paying these kind of contracts. You know what I mean? So there's a cap for a reason. It's capped for a reason. The new CBA was intended to address some of the concerns the Chicago Bulls legend pointed out, and to date, it has been somewhat effective, especially when it comes to not overpaying for role players. And role players, I want y'all to get paid. I want everybody to get paid, man. So, oh gosh. Unfortunately, the superstars are always going to get paid, and it's hard to implement rules that nullify this reality. Even today, projections show us that NBA contracts will eventually exceed over $500 million, with players eventually making more per year than the owners themselves. I can hear somebody out there like, damn right, they should. They the ones out there playing. I agree to a degree. You know what I mean? In the end, MJ's concerns mostly center around players getting paid before they've consistently produced on the floor and shown they are worthy. But even his prediction couldn't stop where the league was heading. In the future, the only hope is for players to earn their fortunes and actually fulfill their superstar potential. So I want to get into, something that this article cited, or two things that were cited in the article, kind of separate, or just to give us some tangible examples. And I probably should have covered these dudes' names, because again, I just think it's weird to just kind of do the thing with the name and like talking about what players made, even though it's public information and it seems to be public knowledge for whatever, and it's not weird. But Evan Mobley signed a 5-year, $224 million contract. I think Evan Mobley's a fine young player. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna get better. You know what I mean? To get to his peak, and then you know what I mean? Like whatever that means. You know what I mean? He'll decline. But I think Evan will have a really really decent NBA career. He's already made strides between last season and this season. So does he deserve the 224? Sure he does. Scotty Barnes signed the same exact deal, 5-year, 224 in Toronto. Evan Mobley being in Cleveland. Tyrese Maxey signed a 5-year, $203 million contract, which is strange. I think he took a pay cut himself, maybe. That would be the only thing that makes sense, so they can bring in Paul George, because he took $21 million less than the two people that I just spoke of in the personal list behind him, who was Franz Wagner in Orlando, who signed a similar 5-year, $224 million contract. Cade Cunningham, on the other hand, signed a 5-year, $226. So how Cade got an extra two, they got the four. It's about a standard, kind of sounds kind of standard, but all, you know what I mean? Like fine young players, man. I like everybody on this list in terms of the value that they bring to the league, and this just indicates how much money these players are actually making. But just to kind of give a bit of perspective to what was shared in the article. And last but not least, Jayson Tatum. Shout out to Jayson Tatum. Sorry, Jayson, for putting all your financial business out here, but it wasn't me. I didn't research this to put the graphic together myself. I borrowed this from the article. But Jayson Tatum signed one of those supermax extensions to his contract. So we're talking about max deal, supermax, some supermax extensions. Like it's crazy. It's just like the amount of money these players are making today is mind blowing, and it's dope for them. Man, go kids, go get your bread, bro. I'm not mad at you. You know what I mean? But as relative to, you know what I mean? Players like, man, if you're making that kind of money, how could you lose motivation to play? Like, I don't know. Man, maybe some of these amounts, you know what I'm saying, would be a good indication, a great place to start. But start next season, Jayson Tatum will earn $54 million in salary for the year, for the season. Like 54 million, goes up to 58 the following year, 62, and upwards of 71 by the fifth year. So he was the first player in NBA history to sign a $300 million contract. I think that his teammate Jaylen Brown came behind him and signed a higher deal. I think a couple other players have signed $300 million deals since. You know what I mean? Like a few. I think there's only like 2 or 3 of them. But man, that's a lot of money, bro. That's a lot of money. You know what I mean? And to that point, just speaking of the money, not saying that they don't earn it. I'm not saying that they don't earn it with their work ethic. Clearly, the the Boston Celtics won the championship last year. So if they're going to continue to, rip off a few more championships, so they have a very young team, very good team. They're going to be around for a while. I don't see a decline for the Celtics in the near future, like anywhere. You know what I mean? Like they should be a solid team that's a competitive team that should be competing for championships for the next 5 to 7 years, like realistically. And of course, they'll make some adjustments and changes to the roster, but 5 to 7 years is a pretty decent window, to still have open for winning championships. But to give some context to this number, and the fact that it's Michael Jordan who, voiced his opinion and made his opinion known in regards to the max contracts. Back in that era, those players just clearly they weren't making as much money as these players are making today, and that's just by virtue of the TV money that's flying around. There are far more now networks, or like these apps, etc. Like Amazon, has jumped into the business of broadcasting sports, and obviously ESPN's been generating revenue forever, but like you just have so many different players in the entertainment space now that allows for streaming revenue, right? So the revenue clearly is going to go up. With the NBA just signed like some $7 billion or something, some crazy amount of money they got from all these networks, to buy the rights to broadcast the games like NBC, et cetera, coming up here next season. So it makes sense that obviously the player salaries will go up because more money is being doled out from these from the TV sharing, and they're able to get money. But back to that previous era, Michael Jordan was widely regarded in that time already while playing as the greatest basketball player to ever play. Never made a huge contract anywhere near this 54 million that say Jayson Tatum in this example is going to earn for next season. In fact, his final 2 seasons in Chicago, Jordan was paid like what we thought was just like, man, that's like it was the equivalent of this, right? Or we were just like, whoa, they're finally going to give him the money he deserves for all the championships that he's brought to the game, for all of his greatness that he's displayed in terms of the scoring titles and the MVPs and the just being dominant on both offense and defense, winning Defensive Player of the Year, being a defensive stopper in his own right, while offensively giving you the business. Like this dude, top to bottom, is an incredible player. He should be paid for all that he's done. They signed him so that they gave him like a $32 million contract or something like that for like the last 2 or 3 seasons. It's somewhere in there. I can be fact checked. I probably should have did the research before this, but I know it was in the upwards of 30 plus million that he made for his final, 2 seasons in Chicago Bulls uniform. And so, that notwithstanding, the subject, or the point of this episode, which was clearly articulated by Michael Jordan and also, Damian in his article, was that, there is always a drawback, you know what I mean? And that could possibly be that players just, simply lose that spark, that that reason to get up and go get it done. You know what I mean? Like it just becomes like a secondary thing. And you hear this from a lot of players nowadays, like, man, it's just basketball. You know what I mean? Which is a reality. It is just basketball. I mean, but you're being paid gobs of money to play basketball. So it's bigger than actually just being basketball. I know that our family lives, your personal lives, and all those things should take precedence over everything else, right? It should. It's just for not just the basketball players, but even for you guys who are listening. And I can understand that to a degree. But when you got to get up and go to work to keep the roof over the head of your family, make sure that you keep the lights on, to make sure that you keep food in their mouths and clothes in their back, like you got to do what you got to do, right? And so you signed up to be a basketball player. They're giving you this contract. You got to go out and do the thing. Do you need your body after basketball is done? I can understand that, sure. You know what I mean? But don't sign on the dotted line. You're not willing to put in the work. You're not willing to show up. That's the reality. So that's been the basis of this episode. Let me know what your comments and thoughts are. I'd love to hear your opinions on the subject matter. So share your comment. Like the video, as I said before. You know what I mean? And subscribe to the channel as well. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourselves. Blessings.